Do not adjust your sets, everyone. Yiheng Wang's 0.86 second 2x2 world record average has been removed from the WCA results database. It's gone. We've just had a statement 36 minutes ago from Carter Kukala announcing what's gone on. Let's take a look at it, shall we, everyone? So here we are. Here's Carter. Dear WCA community, on February 9th, a new 2x2 world record average of 0.86 seconds was achieved by Yiheng Wang at Chengdu Spring Open 2025. After investigating and analysing the available video evidence, the Regulations Committee has decided to apply penalties to 3 of the 5 attempts in the average. Following the competition and the submission of the delegate report, the WRC became aware that these attempts may not have complied with the regulations. The WRC investigated the solves using video analysis as it met the criteria listed within Regulation 11F1. Now let's take a look at that. For those who need to remember it, 11F1, video and similar forms of recorded evidence should be reviewed in real time. Exception, slow motion or frame-by-frame analysis may be used in the following circumstances. And they've got them right here in 11F1A. The individual result is a regional record or a personal record in the top 50 results of the world rankings. Or B, the average or mean of the result, that should say, is part of the regional record or a personal record in the top 50 results of the world ranking. So I think actually it fell under 11F1B, didn't it? Because it was an average or mean. The video evidence made it clear that some of these attempts were in violation of Regulation A4B, which we'll look at in a second. Therefore, the WRC made the decision to apply plus 2 second penalties to the attempts listed below. And those attempts were 1, 2, and 4 out of the average. Now, A4B, let's remind ourselves, is starting the solve, okay? The competitor uses their fingers to touch the elevated sensor surfaces of the StackMat timer. The competitor's palms must be facing down and located on the side of the timer that is closer to the competitor. Penalty time is plus 2 seconds. The competitor must have no physical contact with the puzzle while starting the solve. So he has been pinged for the start of the solve. So we're talking about sliding, essentially, which is unfortunate. For a detailed description of the method and the frames used, see this document. We will, Carter, in just a second. As a result of this decision, As a result of this decision, the 2x2 world record average will revert back to the former time of 0.88 seconds by Yiheng Wang. So, could be worse. He's not given the world record back to anyone else. I forget who's in second place after Yiheng. Zane? As a result, the 2x2 world record will revert back to the former time of 0.88 seconds by Yiheng Wang at Hangzhou Open 2024. The WRC would like to clarify that there is no evidence to suggest that these regulations were violated intentionally. That's very important. The WRC would like to clarify that there is no evidence that these regulations were violated intentionally. We would like to remind everyone to remain respectful towards all competitors involved. Don't be a jerk to Yiheng, all right? This is not an intentional cheat, is what the report is saying. If you have any questions about the regs or how they are applied, you may contact the WCA Regs Committee at regs@worldcubeassociation.org.nz. Do you think I should email them about the olive that's missing and guarantee that they'll hate me forever? So let's take a look at the investigation report, everyone, hey? Report authored by Balazs Polyak, I'm so sorry, and Kyle Caden Hales, whose name I've said correctly first time today. Nice. WRC remembers on behalf of the WRC. So, since the WCA Regulation Committee's previous announcement and statement, we have made a slight change to the way we conduct frame-by-frame analysis. Oh, okay, in line with the appropriate regulations. Video recording devices, mostly smartphones, may record the footage with a not consistent frame rate, e.g. 30 frames per second, but with a variable frame rate where the recording device increases the frame rate when it considers the happenings faster than usual. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. In order to combat discrepancies that may be used by variable frame rate, the WRC made a change to analyze footage using a trusted software tool which would provide accurate timestamps. This allows the WRC to minimize discrepancies, resulting in more fair outcomes for all affected parties. Okay, well, I guess I love that. If variable frame rate is a thing that I obviously fully didn't understand, then they need to be able to account for that when they're counting frames. That way, the way the WRC determines the timer start frame is by subtracting the time of the solve from the timestamp of the first possible stop frame, always assuming that the third decimal is 9, then selecting the closest previous frame. Okay. The first frame in which the timer could have been stopped is determined if there are 2 frames where the timer could have been stopped, i.e. the stop likely happened in between 2 frames, the earlier frame is selected. The timer stops are displayed for reference only. At least 2 unique members must agree on the timer stop frame. This is all much cleaner than me mucking around on YouTube, isn't it, everyone? The YouTube is rewound by the time the competitor achieved, always assuming that the third decimal, e.g. 9, it is 9, e.g. if the time was 1.0, we rewind to the frame 1009 milliseconds earlier, then we use the frame with the timestamp or the closest one before it. Okay. The determined timer start frame is displayed and the vote is conducted off that frame. At least 2 unique members must agree on the timer start frame. Penalty is only applied if the WRC strongly believes that a violation of the regulations occurred. For this reason, penalties were only applied where a majority of votes were in favour. So here we go. Yiheng wang 2x2, 0.6, WR average, Chengdu Spring Open 2025. Important note, as the frames show, 2 separate videos were used for our frame-by-frame analysis. Nice. This was due to issues with one of the videos being obscured on certain attempts by our mate Heed. Remember, we saw that when I looked at this on stream. This was due to issues with one of the videos being obscured on certain attempts at the point of starting or stopping the timer. The WRC opted to use another publicly accessible video which was recorded from a different angle in these cases. So we can see that attempt 1 was given a +2. So that's the stop. And using maths, they've concluded that that is the start. Okay. Can't really comment much on that. It does look like it looks like a slide. You can't really tell that he's touching the cube. But let's go back to A4B. The competitor uses their fingers to touch the elevated sensor surfaces of the stack mat timer. The competitor's palms must be facing down and located on the side of the timer that is closer to the competitor. So they have been specific, Carter's been specific, or they've been specific in the report that they got him for A4B, which is that reg there, about where your hand is on the timer. A4B1 is about no contact with the puzzle. They are being specific that this was about A4B, because his hands are not flat on the timer. So solve 1 is pinged for that one. Solve 2 is pinged for that one. There's clearly a hand up there. And solve, this one's good. Lovely stuff. Okay, I mean, it's ambiguous, isn't it? Because they look a little bit raised, but sure, I'm not the WRC. This is the start they didn't like. It's that left hand, isn't it? He's got 2 seconds for that under A4B. And then solve 5, he hasn't. That, even though both hands are coming up there, that's interesting, isn't it? But again, whatever, I'm not the WRC, but that is what happened. Those are what's been applied. Let's just remind ourselves of what happened. So they have investigated these solves because of regulation 11F1, which states video and similar forms of evidence should be reviewed in real time, except slow motion or frame by frame analysis may be used when the average or mean is one of the top 50 in the world. And using that regulation to look at his video, they have then pinged in with regulation A4B, which is the one that says your fingers, fingies, not karate chop hands, must be facing down. Palms must be facing down. Fingies must be touching the timer. Palms must be facing down. They've got him for that because he is, by their frame counting calculation, he is starting the timer without his palms facing down and his fingers on the timer. He's coming up, and that's that, everyone. Pretty stunning news. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yeah, there we go. Your new world record. Or I should say, your 2x2 world record is now the old one again, 0.88 seconds. The 0.86 is gone. Amazing stuff. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you later.